Well, folks, it puts a smile on my face every time I hear that tune because it's time for another week of the Rec Poker Podcast. I'm so excited to be here. This is the Chats edition where we talk to interesting folks in the poker world in an interview format. But we also have a forums edition every week, just talking strategy. Most of the time, I'm your host, Jim Reed, Bluff Serini in the home game and at Rec Poker Jim on Twitter. And I have the best freaking job in the world talking poker with my friends here on the Rec Poker Podcast. So this is a kind of a special edition. We pre-recorded this because we had some folks traveling around this week and we couldn't quite get all the gang into the booth at the same time. So while normally I'd encourage you to check out the show every Monday night at 7:30 Eastern live on YouTube, you won't be there tonight, but swing by next week and every week at 7:30 Eastern on YouTube. We have a great show. We have a lot of fun with the YouTube chatters. We give away a real prize just for showing up and entering our raffle. And it costs nothing to join, but it's a great way to get involved. And it's more fun to show up and participate in the live show. So I hope you do. Let me see. I also got to thank our sponsors, the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without them, mostly because we're a largely volunteer-based organization here at Rec Poker. Most of what we do is free. And so we really depend on the support of our sponsors and our premium members who kick in a few bucks every month to help us out. And we really appreciate that. It's a great way to take your game to the next level. Most of what we do here is free. You can sign up for a free account at rec.poker anytime. All it takes is an email address and a smile, although we do insist on both. But consider taking your game to the next level by joining our premium subscriber group for only $5 for your first month if you use the code RecPoker at checkout. Now, you get used to hearing my voice on Mondays, but I'm really just one part of the Rec Poker group, one cog in the Rec Poker machine, one member of the Rec Poker wrecking crew, which is what we call our leadership panel here. And, you know, they let me host the show on Mondays, but it really is a group effort. And if you want to find out more about the other wizards that help make Rec Poker great, you can go to rec.poker/crew and you'll see all sorts of smiling faces there. And click on their pages to get more information about them. And let me see. I guess once again, I just want to thank premium members and the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. And now let's jump right into our interview with Lisa Pickell.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Empowerment Group. I'm happy today to be joined by my friend, Lisa Pickell. Lisa and I first met at the Solve for Why Academy. And we're both alumni of there. And I've never met somebody who's sort of more vibrant and happier to be around. She's an amazing person. She is the mother of 2 grown daughters. And she has an absolutely amazing claim to fame as being the first woman to ever win a circuit ring. Ever. And she did that in 2005. In No Limit Hold'em. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, in No Limit Hold'em.
I don't want to change somebody else.
So I think Lisa's an absolute powerhouse when it comes to advocating for women, playing poker, and she has recently joined Poker Power, which we are all familiar with. We work with Poker Power here at Rec Poker, and we're going to talk today to Lisa about her journey in poker and her advocacy of women and anything else she would like to talk about. So welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much. That was super sweet. I am incredibly humbled to be here and excited. I want everyone to know that Kim was the powerhouse at Solve for Why. I was like, who is this girl and why is she kicking my butt here? She did amazing that week. She's super smart. I was absolutely thrilled to meet her. And it was just like, oh my God, here's this awesome woman in poker. And we had talked about like how you like to travel in poker. And I was always looking for another female to kind of be able to do that with, because most of my friends coming up were not female. And I traveled a lot by myself over the years. So I was like, yay. And then she doesn't live here, and we went on lockdown, and I was like, all right, well, that's not happening. But here was this awesome person that I met, and I'm super thrilled to have met you, Kim. And actually, I think you had won a seat and did well, like parlayed it into something that weekend. I think we went to win. Kim was killing it.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. You guys all in this group, I have an amazing person involved with you. For me, you know,
Tell us about your start in poker.
So,
how you got into it.
It was, you know, I was like any typical New Jersey Italian, you know, you play cards with your cousins, your grandparents, and every game under the sun. And I remember when I was married, we would have a pool league at my house. And when you were waiting for your turn to shoot, we would play stand-up poker, dealer's choice, whatever. I also had Friday night games at my house, dealer's choice. And one day my friend Pat comes over and he's like, oh, there's this new game, Hold'em. And I was like, what the hell is this? I'm like, this is so dumb. And then it was just like the World Series with Moneymaker came on, and we watched that because we were all hockey fans and they had canceled hockey. So they put poker on. I always say poker owes its livelihood to the NHL for going on strike. But so it just kind of like parlayed. We started playing No Limit Hold'em, and I started going down to Atlantic City. My mom was a slot player, and I would go down there and play like 1, 2, and just got a little better. And then I remember saying, there was a satellite to a WSOP event. And I was like, okay. And I'm playing the satellite, and I get heads up with this guy, and he wants to make a deal. And first of all, I didn't know you could make deals. But second of all, I was like, I can't really make a deal because I can't play the tournament unless I won the seat. And he got so mad, like he had me out chipped, and he got so mad and totally tilted. And I wound up winning the seat. And I was walking to the bus stop with my daughter the next day, and I said, Mommy won a seat, and I can't decide if I should play the ladies event or the event with everybody. And she looked at me, and Lexi was like 5 at the time. She's getting married next month. She looks at me and she goes, why wouldn't you want to beat all the people, Mommy, instead of just the girls? And I said, you're right, honey. So I went and I played that, and I remember shaking, handing over $500 real dollars for a poker tournament. I was like, oh my gosh. But I was pretty friendly at that point with like most of the floor people, and they were so sweet. They're like, we're rooting for you, Lisa. And I totally felt that energy. I absolutely did. I remember early in the tournament, some guy screaming and yelling at me because I like called him down with a pair and a gut shot, and I hit it. And it was like almost for my poker, like things that I think of now. I'm like, oh my gosh. But yeah, that was me calling all the way down with the rag ace and winning. But 2 days went by. I remember going home. I had bagged. I drove home, washed my outfit, wore the exact same thing. I was super superstitious. I wouldn't let anybody come to final table. I didn't even tell most people. I was that person who was like, no, I'm not breaking your chips because I can't, like totally superstitious. We get to final table, and I knock out every single person except one. Somebody else knocked them out. And then when we got to heads up, his name's Todd, we're friends now. He comes up to me and asks again, do I want to make a deal? And I was like, what are you talking about? I don't understand. And he's like, you know, we lock up a certain amount of money and then we play for the ring. And I was like, no, now I know better. Now I'm like, holy crap, lock up that money. It was a big pay jump. But I just felt like it was my time. And Charla, who used to write for Poker News, she was such a sweet advocate for me. And she was the one that told me, she's like, you just became the first woman to win the World Series of Poker circuit. I was like, what? And she has been a huge advocate for me and so sweet. And I knew from that moment, it was like, I want to do more for women in poker. I want this to be a thing. And coming up back then, then. This was 2005, 2006. And I remember when I won, they asked me if I wanted the ladies pendant instead of the ring because the ring is so heavy. And I was like, heck no, no woman has this for this event. And I took it, and it used to bruise my knuckle. But I was so thrilled, and my cousins teased me so much. They were like, 6 months ago, you're playing with a cheat sheet. Now you just won 50 grand. They could, like, nobody could believe it. And I was still like looking at cheat sheets for a long time. But I just loved it. Back then it was very different than what it is now. My friend Jamie and I talk about all the time. Back then, women were very guarded. Like they felt like there was only one spot because online poker was booming, and it was very rare for a woman to become a poker pro on there. So any woman wasn't going to be like, hey, check out my friend. And, we were trying to do a reality show back then. And I remember animosity amongst other women in the poker room at Borgata. And it was like, this isn't my gig. I didn't set the people, but we wanted all of them. But at the time, everybody was kind of vying. Whereas now I'm like, hey, meet my friend Kim and meet my friend Jamie. And like, I want all the women to be doing well. And that's part of why I love Poker Power. I feel like those women are truly trying to help other women come up in the sport. So yeah, and I just fell in love with it. And here I am a million years later.
Nothing like getting that hook in early, right, Lisa?
Totally. Yep.
So
when you win, when you don't know what you're doing, you think you're going to win forever. And that was my biggest downfall is I thought, okay, I'll just buy into every poker tournament because I'm going to win. And it's like 50 grand goes like that. So money management, like those are things I would tell people immediately wanting to play this sport. If you ever think you're going to make it as a full-time poker tournament person, you better have a huge bankroll or sell pieces of you or really have excellent bankroll management. It's just, Phil Ivey's the greatest player that walked the face of the earth, in my opinion. And he doesn't win every single tournament he's in. So what makes the rest, us mere mortals, think that we're going to do better?
Right.
Yeah.
So tell us about your involvement with Poker Power. Where did you get the call there, and what are you doing for them? Because we know them fairly well.
Awesome.
They work with us. So.
Oh, great. So I'm trying to think of how I even got that call. I know, so Schwan is friends with Jamie, and I know Jamie, but never mind. Sarah Steffen and I went heads up at Bally's, and here again, I had her out chipped a gajillion, like should have beat her because she had this much. This is why I tell people don't ever, ever give up. And she had said about, do you want to discuss deal? And I said, sure. We were in the middle of a hand. We wound up getting it all in, and she doubles. And then it was like, I don't even remember what happened because now she just kept doubling and doubling. I'm like, what the frick just happened? We didn't even have time to make a deal. But yeah, I always say never, ever give up. But she had approached me after, and she's like, hey, I work with this company. And I was like, great. And they weren't taking teachers on at the time, but I think she just kept my number and knew people and blah, blah, blah. And I think it was like just after pandemic, like they just opened back up again and like, getting situated. And it was a while before I became a coach for them. And, now I work with different groups and I do breakout teaching, and I have my first my first own class coming up this month. So I'm super excited for that. I love it. I love talking with women who have no idea about poker. And then there are other women who have a little bit, and you could see they want to be so aggressive. And like, there's this one girl in one of my morning groups, she loves to bluff. I'm like, I can't wait for you to come out here and be at a cash game table. I'm like, let's go, because she's got that like drive in her, and she just needs someone to like help her navigate. So it's awesome. And, you know, a lot of these women, like there's a lot of big corporations that we work with and just giving them confidence. I love that.
So are you in Vegas now? Are you living in Vegas?
Yes. So
Right.
I moved to Vegas in, oh gosh, I get so confused. I was going through a divorce. My mom passed away, bad breakup with a boyfriend. It was like, I need to get out of here. And my friend Lexi was going to move here as well. And it was like, let's play poker and work for CSOP and do all this exciting stuff. And we moved out here. And then I was kind of like, she fell in love and I was going back and forth, seeing my family, friends were coming out here. I wasn't really living here. And New Year's Eve, I was like, you know what? You have to go start your life in Vegas. And I moved, and 3 months later, we went on lockdown, and it was the hardest time of my life. Being out here, being away from my kids, my family, my friends forever. Thank God for FaceTime and Zoom. I got involved with a coaching and staking deal with Jesse Sylvia and a bunch of other people. Jamie happened to be in the group as well. And she and I had been friends back in Jersey, but not like really tight. And we became so much closer during that time. And like we lived in the same neighborhoods, would walk around, you know, because she couldn't go anywhere. And we would go on walks and bond and talk about women in poker and coming up and how we could do better. She works for this company and with Poker King Media and WPT, and she's all about like all these awesome things for women. So I love having someone of her stature, of her ranking in this field. So many people respect her, and I think she's going to be able to do a lot as well. Schwan, same thing. Like
Right.
These are women who are going to make a difference.
Yeah, we've
So
had
I love
Schwan
it.
as a guest, and you're talking about Jamie Kerstetter for any of
Yes.
our listeners that
Oh yeah,
are not
sorry.
aware.
She's
Yeah, that's
awesome.
okay.
Yep. Schwan's
That's okay.
awesome.
So tell me about your sort of career in poker has spanned a couple of decades now, and
Yes.
as a woman in poker, tell us sort of the worst things you found as playing as a woman and some of the best things.
It's funny. Somebody just asked me this the other day if I felt it was harder or easier for women in poker. I think it depends on you as an individual and how you take things. I think there have definitely been times at the poker table where a man has said something to me that he would never say to another man, because that other man would take him outside and deck him. Like one time the guy called me a C word for beating him in a hand. And luckily, again, I am friendly with the floor. I'm friendly with staff, and people knew me at Borgata, and like everyone ran to my defense. The guy was drunk. He's an idiot. But at the time, I also didn't know how to use that to my advantage. I started to kind of get upset about it. I don't know that I tilted, but at that moment now, I know that that's the guy I want to play every hand with. I want you to make all the mistakes you're going to make because you think I'm a dumb girl. I think the fact that being a woman, I have so many people come to my defense is a plus. I don't know that men have that. I've seen men being berated at the table, and I don't think another floor person is going to run over to them and tell another guy like, hey, knock it off, unless they're going at it like with the F word and stuff like that. But I think if you conduct yourself in a humanly way and you are kind and present in the poker rooms, I think most people get friendly with you. Like, you have to realize this is your job. And if this is your job, this is your workplace. So my workplace, I don't want there to be animosity. I don't want there to be bad blood of people who are going to sit at my table every half hour. But I also have the choice to get up too, or go play at another house, things like that. I think the upside is when you play with those men who don't respect women in poker, who don't think that women are good. every time I raise and that ace falls and I have, 5-6 suited and the board is ace 10-9 or ace jack 5, guess who gets to bet and just win? Me. So, I think you need to find those spots too. Don't get me wrong. Now there are people that when you become a reg in some of these 600 tournaments and 4 and 5 and 800 tournaments and everybody knows you, it's like, okay, that might not work. But you have to feel out your audience, just like, anything else. I think in life, you have to navigate and see where you get to use your strength and where your weakness is. My weakness was always being emotional because I am an only child. I'm Italian and I'm from New Jersey. So right there, I'm very emotional. So for me, it was trying to get that in check in the beginning because I hated to lose. I absolutely hated to lose. I would be the person who would pout. Like if my aces got cracked, I would legit pout. And at one point when I was getting knocked out at tournaments at parks and I was dating my boyfriend at the time, and he's like, Lisa, you have to be a better loser. And I was like, why the hell would you say such a thing? Why would you want me to lose? Like I was going off on him like a crazy person. Didn't realize it wasn't that he wanted me to lose. He wanted me to be a more gracious loser. And I was like, oh, all right, I could take those beats better. I didn't realize that at the time. I was just like, you should only want me to ever win and you should never. And the reality is, again, even Phil Ivey doesn't win every single time. So who the hell is Lisa Pickell that she's just going to win every single tournament?
You and I sound a lot alike. I should have started in 2003. When poker has changed a lot in the last 20 years. So what do you do to sort of keep your game fresh, like study wise? What do you do to sort of keep up with how poker is today? Because poker is a lot tougher now than it was in 2013 and 2003. So
I think that poker will always be poker. It is still a game of reading your opponents and having the luck when you need it. Listen, nobody wins a tournament without getting lucky. And you have to win flips. You have to suck out sometimes. You have to hold sometimes. But you also have to maneuver your stack. I have never been a huge GTO person. I'm probably one of the few people in poker who suck at math. I hate the fact that math has become such an important part of poker because I'm just not good at it. And at this point, it's very, I don't want to say humbling. What's the word? It's embarrassing. The fact that I have been involved in this sport so long and I still suck at math because
you
for
probably
years,
inherently know it though. You probably inherently know it.
I think there are certain things that I'm just like, okay, the pot is this big and I have to call this big. So, okay. So I think that kind of stuff, yes. But there was definitely a many years where I wouldn't want to admit that I don't understand this, or I don't know why the answer is that, because it was like, well, wait a minute, you've been playing 5-10 years. How do you not know that? And we all kind of have some sort of ego, or we wouldn't be playing poker. We would do, way easier things in life. But I think there's that challenge and that ego. So I didn't want to admit that I don't know a lot. I think more people are playing, which is great. Now, especially back in Vegas, live play is coming back. I've always loved live play way more than online, just because I love being able to read somebody. That's my strength. My strength is my reads. I also know that sometimes I rely too much on them. So for me, my studying is talking my hand histories with my friends, because even in my notes, I remember one of my friends saying, it doesn't matter that he was doing this and 10 hands earlier. And I'm like, but it does. So I want, for me, the best person that I talk hand histories with is someone who's super respected in this sport and super high up. And she has been a saving grace for me because she talks all aspects of poker. It's not just the math. It's not just the read. It's all of these things. And I could talk 24/7 with this person because she's so passionate about it. Her and her partner, like, just unbelievable how much I've gained from them. So hand histories has become a thing for me that never was. And I love talking about it with other people. Actually, at our Solve for Why, I remember going at it with Berkey for 2 days about the same hand. And he still to this day will tell me he's right. And I still to this day will say my read was spot on and I get one chance at being at a final table. And I'm going to take my read over the math. Whether that's right or wrong, in that moment, I knew in my gut that I was right. And I was pissed that I folded because I knew Berkey would be in the booth shouting, bold, bold. And I looked at that guy, I forget who it was, but I looked at him, I said, I know my deuce is good here. That's how much I believed in my gut. But I probably went off on a tangent there. I could talk.
That's okay.
So
You're a
much about
field
people.
player.
Sorry.
That's excellent. That's excellent. When getting more women into the game, you're obviously working with Poker Power. We're trying to encourage more women to come in. Any sort of tips that you can think of that we can do, as we're all recreational players here. We're just trying to bring our friends in and make them feel comfortable. There's a lot of women that play online, but they won't go out and play live poker.
Right.
So what can we do to encourage them? What can the poker rooms do? What can the tournament series do? I have seen that WSOP Circuit is bringing in ladies events, so to get a ring. So that's a really good thing coming in. But sort of what can we do as men and women in the game at the recreational level to bring our friends in and more women, encourage more women in?
So I think that's a great question, because if you truly care about bringing more women into the sport, what are we doing? So for me personally, I'm the woman who, when I'm at Venetian, this just happened the other day, when I'm at Venetian and there is a girl clearly who does not know anything she's doing. She said it from the beginning. She was playing a 1-3. We were just kicking around cash game. She's playing 1-3 with her boyfriend, and she apologized to the table. She's like, oh, if I'm taking too long. And we were like, no, it's all good. Don't worry about it. I remember specifically a hand she had, and they flip over their cards. She was betting and okay, calling, and, wasn't sure what to do. She flips over her hand and they start pushing her the pot. And she goes, oh, but he had 3 of the same thing. He had 3 kings. She goes, he has 3 of the same thing. And we're all like, yes, but you had a flush. And she's like, well, see, you have all hearts. And she's like, oh, that's how new. I went over to her and I said, listen, I work with this group called Poker Power. It's free for you to join. Like, you should totally pop in there. You can play hands online. We kind of guide you a lot. Like, there are classes where we guide you and help you learn hand histories and what beats what and how to bet. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's so nice. But being at the table, being compassionate to that person is how you get more women involved in poker. When a woman asks, am I allowed to do this? Or she's taking a long time, making sure that the dealer helps her. Like when she says, what am I allowed to do? You tell her all of her options. If it's a 1-3, you can bet whatever you want. You can bet $6, like all of those things. And telling women, telling your friends, like one day in Poker Power, somebody said, because, like, on our app, it will time out if you're in a hand. And the woman said, well, what happens if I'm at a poker table? Will there be a clock that tells me how long I have for the hand. And we explained to her, no, you have most of the time, but if you're taking too long, someone could call clock on you. So it's telling your friends what it's like to be at a poker game. I told in a poker room, I would suggest women going to very women friendly poker rooms. I'm hoping more of them are getting that way, but you go to the Orleans, they're super, super female friendly. South Point, I believe, is also. Venetian is getting better. I'm starting to like Venetian a lot. Wynn is excellent towards women. I remember my first trip out here, some floor person literally running to my table to make sure I was okay in a situation that wasn't even about me. It was about this guy and this woman. And I was just like super impressed with them just having my back, and I had just got here. But I think it's groups like this, especially groups like Poker Power. I want to see them running more tournaments to winning a seat in Vegas or doing meetup cash games. I want to see that where you're all together and a woman can be like, oh wait, 5 friends are going on this trip to Vegas and we're all going to be at South Point playing cash. That's going to make them feel more comfortable. I would go to rooms all the live long day. If a group was telling me, hey, we're doing a game and we have a bunch of women who have never played, I would go play in that room and introduce myself to women and help them. Like that would be what I would love to do, is to be able to be there when more women are coming into town.
Yeah, that would be an amazing thing.
Is that my internet?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit. But we'll carry on here as much as we can.
Sorry.
Destinations.
Okay.
I just want to ask you, before I open this up to the panel to see if they have any questions. You and I like to travel. What's on your bucket list in the future? Where would you like to travel for poker?
Aussie Millions.
Yes.
Aussie Millions, hands down. You know that's the place. Yes, more than anything, I want to go Aussie Millions.
You can
so
come
badly.
Yes. And the COVID has put a damper on it, but we're gonna get there, right, Princess?
Yes, we are.
I definitely count me in on that trip. I want to go so bad, so bad. I would also like to play, what is it? The Aviator Club. I think it's in Paris.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to go to Paris. I was hoping to find a boyfriend someday and go to Paris, but whatever, I'll go for poker.
We're heading to the Irish Open next week, so that's a fun one. So I'm going to open this up now to our panel. I'm not sure if this is my internet or Lisa's internet, but if anybody has any questions.
I don't know why this is.
I think it's Lisa's, because I hear you fine, Kim, but Lisa's coming in and out.
Okay.
Same here.
She's frozen again right now.
I am.
Yeah, maybe if she turns off her video, the conversation will flow better, because she doesn't need as much.
I was actually going to say. Why don't I? Yes, Cox internet is bad. I was going to say I could sign off and sign back on if you want me to do that.
Sure. Do you want to try that?
I'll be right. Yeah, let me do that and see if that works.
Okay. So I'm just going to open it up for a few minutes to everybody if anyone has any questions for Lisa. She's such a fun person. I'm telling you, you can't play at a table with her and not be smiling and laughing.
Yeah, I can tell already. She must be a fun person to travel and play with.
Yeah, yeah, she is.
Oh, there she is. Let's see.
All right, there she is. Oh, you're
Oh.
muted.
That's the wrong thing.
That's all the time. How's
There
that?
it is.
Better?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I was just telling the panel how fun it is to play with you and have you at the table. Like that,
Aw,
it's always a
thank
smile.
you.
So, and you're so
you.
encouraging. And, you know, even if you're losing a hand, you're just, you know, graciously encouraging. So, panel, if anyone has
Thanks a lot.
anything they'd like to ask Lisa.
Well, I have a question. It's actually about that sort of mindset, really, I think. What do you credit in your life that allows you to have sort of like a positive outlook in these kind of circumstances, even when you're losing a hand or when things aren't going your way at the table?
That's a long time coming. Like I said, I used to pout and be really crazy. I definitely, there are still moments I have, and I think more now it's disappointment. In certain tournaments when I'll get, I mean, obviously we all hate to lose, but there will be ones where I'm coming in super positive. And it's just like, wait a minute, I don't understand what just happened. You know, things seem to be going your way and then something will just happen and you're like, whoa. But I also find that that's something that is super helpful. If you're in tune to your body and your mind, you should know when to, like, there are times, especially more so in cash games, but there are times when you know you should walk away. Like the game is, there's just something in you and you're like, I should be done. And you don't, and you wind up going on a downswing, or there's something bad that happens. And I believe women are more, I want to say, I find that women are more in tune to it, but I know plenty of men who are very in tune to those kind of connections. So I think it's about paying attention to those things. You know, when a game is good, you don't want to leave, and you're like, okay, if you can seriously ask yourself, am I in a good space? Am I still playing my best game? Is this table good for me? Is it worth me staying awake another 2-4 hours to be in this game? All of those things have to play into, am I going to do well at this? When I know there will be days, today's a perfect example. I am on a cash game grind for the next like month. My daughter's getting married and it is nose to the grindstone, just make money, which kills me because everybody's at Hard Rock right now and they're all like, what do you mean you're not staying here? And I'm just like, la, 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 la. But it's because I love tournaments so much. I hate the fact that I can't be playing it, but right now I have to grind. So today is my normal grind day. I'm supposed to get up. I go for a 4 or 5 mile walk, shower, get ready. And there were things like I was still needing to unpack because I was at my friend's wedding. And this was coming at 4:30. And I was just like, do I really want to be playing? Because what my plan was, I'll bring my computer and do it. There's a back room at High Limit Slots at Venetian. And I was like, it's quiet. I could do the Zoom meeting there. And I was just like, when I know I have something else on my mind and I have a cutoff time, I'm not going to play well. I'm either going to be forcing my game to try and hurry up and make the amount of money I need to make, or I'm just going to be distracted. Like, oh my gosh, is it almost time to meet with them? Did I do this? And it just wasn't worth it. So I called my friend. I was like, hey, can you put some money, you know, can I Venmo you some money for ACR later? I'll play online and I'll get to my cash grant, you know, small. It's just not worth it for me to think that I'm not going to play at my best. So that to me is part of mindset. Getting in a good space. If you're going to play a tournament, I'm all about manifesting. So in the morning, you know, you should be picturing putting those chips in a bag. You should be picturing scooping pots and building your stacks. Anything that helps your game is what I feel helps your mindset. And if you're the person that's going to say, I remember 6 months at Borgata, I was playing cash and my kings would get cracked every single time. And that's actually the first time I got into law of attraction, because I met somebody who said, of course they're going to get cracked. You keep telling yourself they're going to get cracked. And I was like, oh, like I could change the cards, but you can, like, you can absolutely change the whole being. So yeah, it's those kind of things.
Follow-up question then. So this is,
Yes.
so then when you are in a hand, and let's say you're all in on the flop, as the dealer is preparing the turn card, what are you doing in your mind or in your body or at the table? Like, how are you summoning the turn card that you want to see out there? Or where are you like, or like, what are you trying not to think about? Because that's a real thing. This is a
real thing. But I think the work gets done off the table before you get there. The work comes, you know how everybody is like, oh my God. And I did this last night. I mean, I fall into it myself, even though I practice this as much as I can. Can I win a flip? Am I ever going to win a flip? Every time I have ace king, it gets cracked. Like, if you're thinking that, that's the way it's going to be. So when you're doing the work off of the table, and when I say manifest, I'm talking about before your head hits that pillow at night or before your feet hit the floor, literally picturing in your mind, you have the ace king and they have the jacks or vice versa, and the board running clean. Like, you have to see you winning that flip and scooping the pot over and over and over again. Now, at the table, are there times where, like, this happened the other day? Guy had aces and I had kings, and he, like, you could see his entire body just knew he was going to get beat. So I don't know how he had been running bad. And I went, I guess I need the king of diamonds. Flop comes, turn, king of diamonds. I called the suit, and like, this has happened multiple times in my life. So you just have to, honestly, there are times where I'll silently be like, you know, nines versus ace king. And I'm like, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, whatever it takes for it to be good for you. But I think the best advice I can give is, don't put ourselves in the position where that flip means our entire life, our entire poker tournament life. Because then if you don't win the flip, you're like, okay, nice hand, and you still have chips to rebuild. I think that's probably, you know, the best way to look at it.
That's good. Yeah.
Lisa, I do exactly the same thing in my head, though. Sometimes I say it out loud, but in my head, I do exactly calling for the card that I want.
Yeah.
Don't always get it, but never ever say no this or no that or no, right?
Exactly.
Always positive approach.
Yep. You always take the one that you want, not the one you don't want. That's law of attraction, like 101. And
Right.
It's the truth. Like, if you're going no ace, no king, no ace, no king, ace and king are going to come.
Exactly, right? But you know, scientific people will not believe that, or numbers people will not. And I so relate so much to your comments about, you know, I'm terrible with math as well. And, you know, when I went for my first big tournament too, when I knew nothing about poker, I just learned how to play. I won my way into the PCA in Bahamas, ended up winning 45,000 in the first big tournament I ever played in, right? So I thought it was easy. And I won the trip. And then I won it the year after and the year after that. And I thought poker was so easy, and it never became easier over time. It became harder over time, right?
Exactly.
But so can relate to some of your comments. Very interesting. But I really do believe in the gut instinct part of poker. And the same thing, I think I play the same thing with my gut instinct. And every time I go against my gut, I'm wrong.
Yep, absolutely. I think it is a part of merging the two is where the really greats skyrocket. Like if you watch Phil Ivey, one of the things I say about him is he will read a person's soul. I watched him win his stud bracelet. I was literally like 10 feet away from him, watching him go heads up. He started out at a deficit, and he literally just read this guy's soul. And later, what that translated to me was he was going with his gut. He was going with his reads of what his opponent's weaknesses were and where he could outplay this person. I think, yes, math has to be a part of the game, and luck is going to be a part of the game. And how you take those bust out hands or those losing hands, your ace is getting cracked, all of that plays into how you can become a better player. One of the things my mom said after I had won my ring, I also did super well in the next few tournament. Like I was at the Borgata Main, and I was playing with, literally, this was my table at a main event: Phil Ivey, Matt Matros, Amir Fahidi, another English pro. I looked at them, I said, when the hell did you people sign up? How did, like, you couldn't pay to play at a table like that. But it was extraordinary how well I played at that game. Now, again, they don't know me, so I have an advantage there. They're thinking a woman is only playing the nuts. Like, so some of those things, and then we broke. Thank God I didn't play all day at that table. But it was like, after that, I was like, I'm going to be the best player ever, and I'm going to study, and I'm going to do all this stuff. And I couldn't win to save my life. And my mother said to me, you know, you played a lot better when you weren't like learning. And I think what happens is a lot of times we lose the things we're good at. This happened during that study group as well. Jesse said to me, Lisa, I think I'm hurting your game. And what wound up, because I wound up winning the day I found out I was invited into the group, I won something on WSOP, and my first week with them, I came in third in an ACR event. Then after that, I couldn't win to save my life. And what was happening was I was getting so jumbled up in charts and numbers. And every time I was like, wait, normally I would raise this, but was I supposed to raise this? Does the chart say? And you've got 30 seconds. So it was like I lost the good things and hadn't yet got good at the new things I was learning. So there is a learning curve when you are first starting out, or anytime you're trying new concepts. And I think it's super important to know that, like, there are things that are going to not go right until you hone that skill.
Yeah, that's really good. I'm more of a mathematical player, but also I do have a lot of feel for the game. Luck equals mathematical variance. Like, those two things are the exact same thing, just thought of differently. Between the field players think it's luck, and the mathematical players just know that it's mathematical variance.
Right.
So,
Right.
This is why I love Kim, right? So my WC playing is enhanced by my conversations with Kim on the mathematical side of it, right?
Right. She makes it seem friendlier.
Yeah.
The way she said that made it much friendlier. That it was
Right.
bad, because I normally hate that word.
Very
But it's
logical.
like, yeah, but she made it the same as luck. And I'm like, okay, now I can understand that. See, that's why you're so good.
all right, I think we've kept you long enough. And it's so nice to talk to you, Lisa. I can't wait to see you this summer in Vegas.
Oh, yes.
I
Please
have
let
a,
me know when you're here.
I have a daughter getting married this summer too. It's very exciting. And maybe I should start grinding 2-5. Is that what we're grinding these days?
I've actually been because going back, I was playing PLO for like the last 2 years. So I have not been playing Hold'em Cash in a long time. So it was just start out at 1-3 and see whether you can really do this. And my first week was all red. It was crazy. I had set it up with my friend who was giving me advice on how to actually be a cash game grinder. set hours, set place. Like I'm still kind of figuring that out. And right now, like just grinding 1-3, I'm like, okay, I can make my numbers. I looked at my hourly the other day and I was like, Now, I also had one high hand, but that was only this much. But there was still, I was like, all right, if I do this the right way, I can actually make a decent living. So then going back, because I used to play 2-5 all the time, but I didn't want to start out there because I knew my hits would be so big in the beginning. 2 buy-ins in that, then trying to win that. Like if I'm averaging 2 or 3 buy-in wins at 1-3, I'm not going to average 2 or 3 500 to 1,000 buy-ins every 2-5 game
Right.
yet. So
Right.
I'm just trying to figure that out.
All right. Well, all the best of luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Does anyone
I
else?
really appreciate this.
I was just going to ask, Lisa, did you ever play at the playground in Montreal?
Oh my God, it's one of my favorite places on earth. We were just talking about it.
Because you look familiar. I think I've seen you there once, maybe.
I played a really big WPT. I think it was the year Sexton won. I had won a seat to it and went super deep and lost a flip. But I love Playground and I really would love to go back. Are you kidding? They talk French and English to me at the table. I could not have been happier. The food is fabulous.
Yeah.
The staff is fabulous. Yeah. We
All
were
right.
just talking about,
Rec
playground.
It'll be a road trip.
Road
Road
trip,
trip.
I
just
think it's
saying.
the same thing. We should plan a group road trip.
We really should.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
They have
count
to
me
bring
in.
back tournaments first. So once
Well,
they bring back
I-
tournaments there, we'll.
Not for me. I'll go play cash. That
I'll
sounds
go
awesome.
play cash.
Yeah.
1-3 is a good starting place.
Yeah.
Also, Lisa, because sometimes it plays like a 2-5, right?
Yeah.
Oh, for
1-3.
sure. For
Yeah.
sure. The other thing is like, I'm learning you have to find if you're going to play cash, you have to find all the advantages, and the advantages are the promos that these rooms are running. Like I just did a free roll for a 10K seat, 5 10K seats at for the WSOP main. Like there are great promos here. So I'm not sure the other places. But the other thing that I wanted to say about Playground was they just apparently built a hotel there. That was the sucky thing, that there wasn't a place to stay right there. And now there is. So
Yeah.
hell
Yeah,
yeah, count me in.
Yeah, can't wait till they get the tournaments going there again. Thank you
All
so
right.
much, Lisa. I
Thank
really
you
appreciate
so,
you
so
stopping
much.
by.
Yes,
Bye.
thank
Take
you.
care.
And let me know when you're all in Vegas. We'll play meetup games.
Yeah.
Well, I did enjoy that. Welcome back, folks. I was able to take part in that interview in real time. So it was great to be able to bring it to our podcast audience as well here on the show. So my thanks to Lisa and to Kim Kilroy for her fantastic efforts in the poker empowerment group that she's been running here for the last several years. And I just want to say, if folks are interested in getting more involved in rec poker or getting more involved in our mandate to make the poker world a more comfortable place for women around the world, particularly in the live poker scene, then come on, get more involved in rec poker. Join for free, get a free community account, post in the forums, get connected with Kim and some of the other fantastic women here who are helping to make the poker world a better place. And like I say, just get involved. There's room for you, and it's a wonderful poker group, part of a wonderful poker world. So I hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope you've had a good time getting to know a little bit about what we're about. Thanks to Kim, thanks to Lisa, thanks again to the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. Find out more about them at runaces.com. And thanks to you, the listeners. We couldn't do this without you, so it means a lot. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week on the Rec Poker Podcast.